So Dilly's station.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Monday's edition of the social media program on television, The Buzz. It's the 10th of December 2018, and I'm excited as always to be at the table this lovely Monday afternoon. My name is Patience, and my co-host is here with me this afternoon.
Yes.
Hi, Blossom.
Hi, I'm fine. Good morning. Or rather, good afternoon. Definitely. It's amazing. It's a beautiful Monday. Last week Friday was, one of the busiest today. And today is the start of a new one in Nigeria. So yes, welcome. Thank you so much.
All right. On the Christmas countdown, in 15 days over Christmas. Wow, really close, really close. All right, we're not alone at the table. Joining us, we have all of our Monday regulars. Akogun Ganikayode Balogun made it to the show today. In fact, he's been here like 2 hours before the show started. So that no weapon fashioned by traffic.
I even brought my food.
Yes, my word. True, he brought his food to the studio and let me stay here and have breakfast and just wait. Really, we appreciate it, sir. Thank you so very much for coming on the show today.
Not a problem.
All right, Akogun Ganikayode Balogun is a renowned journalist. He's worked across board in top positions, and today he runs an online news media platform. Also, he's a social commentator. Also joining us at the table, we have Mr. Peter Osangbe. Good afternoon, Mr. Osangbe.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the program.
Welcome.
Mr. Osangbe is a public relations expert. He's also a businessman and a social commentator. Thanks for joining us again. Also, we have Mr. Godi the Great Ofose. Good afternoon, Mr. Ofose.
I thought you start with the chief.
You told me till the 1st of next month, so I didn't want to.
Because when you came into the studio, you first addressed me as a chief.
Yes, so
you can officially start by
the 1st
January
of
31st.
Wow.
Because that is my... And
So
I told you.
that's dividend of democracy.
Of democracy.
So it's good to contest election.
Even when you don't carry the day. I mean, you win in other areas.
Even when you lose woefully.
It might not be exactly so, because I believe that if you don't have good character, if you are not upright, such honor will not come your way.
True.
And it's a pointer to the fact that Nigerians should be able to do things that is good and liberate.
Good. All right, Mr. Godi Ofose. Well, from next year, we'll now carry the title Chief. We're excited
From
for him.
January to be Godi the Chief.
Yeah, Godi the Great Chief.
No, you see, on this program again from next year, if you addressed Akogun as Akogun, you call me Akankan.
Akankan. Wow, interesting. Anyways, Mr. Godi Ofose is a renowned journalist, a brand analyst, and a politician. Coming up on the program this afternoon, Aisha Buhari in the news again. Also, Electoral Act, Buhari declines assent yet again, and immigration arrests foreigners over possession of PVCs. Remember, the number to use is 0802-836-8971, and that number is essentially for SMS only. All right, we kickstart the show with in other news. Court of Appeal orders INEC to register inmates. On Friday, Court of Appeal Benin Division granted the prayers of 5 prisoners, seeking the order of the court to direct the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to include all prisoners in the voters' register. The appeal was filed by 5 inmates on behalf of other inmates in Nigerian prisons. Those that filed the appeal are Victor Emenue, Onome Inaye, Kabiru Abu, Osage Iyekekpolo, and Modugu Odion. The judgment affirmed the judgment granted by a federal high court in 2014 that prisoners can vote. Counsel to the appellant, President Igbokan, urged INEC to commence immediate registration of inmates across the country for them to participate in next year's election. According to him, prison inmates have their community polling units should be located there. All right, gentlemen, let's react to this. We'll start with you, Akogun, quickly.
There was sign of growth that prisoners now get the audacity to ask for their rights. How they will do the same thing with the quality of the food that they are served, or for the length of time that is spent awaiting trial.
Exactly.
All these, of course, are more important. But I understand where they're coming from. Being in prison does not deprive you of your rights as a Nigerian. It only means that you'll be taken away from society for a while to answer questions on previous conduct.
True.
Doesn't take away your citizenship. And the funny part of it, like I raised on radio this morning, is the fact that people will now go to prisons to campaign. This means that politicians who are bound for prison will go and familiarize themselves.
Yeah. And of course, it also says a lot of goodies will be going the way of prisons. So.
Well, they know they will be coming later, so they have to go and prepare the ground for their retirement home.
Interesting. Mr. Sangbi?
Yes, for me, it's a welcome development. It's a clear indication that our democracy is, fast, evolving, as it were, and then for the good as well. More importantly is the fact that this is just one aspect of their rights, and I hope too that they would now raise serious questions regarding their education and all that. Yeah. Because you see, the problem we have in this part of the world is that once you're sent to prison, it means you are just condemned and forever, remain there. But it ought to be a reformatory place.
A correctional
a correctional place, where if you have trade, you will be encouraged to begin to practice them in there. If you do not, they will teach you some trade like crafts and all that. So it's not really to condemn you that you're of no use.
You're actually supposed to
so
come
that
back better.
When you come out, you should now be able to be reintegrated into the society effortlessly. So I think it's a welcome development.
All right. Mr. Godi.
Well, I think my colleague has spoken well, in as much as a welcome development. Democracy is about the right to vote and to be voted for. And if you're also aware, recently in the news, there is a certain politician who was the governor of Plateau State actually approached the court to seek for him to contest an election. And now, I hope tomorrow, because in other climes, prisoners don't contest elections. Prisoners don't seek public office. I hope tomorrow someone will not go to court and get a judgment that is qualified to contest. Because I believe for you to be form of alienated from the society and give you some form of punishment is a deterrent for me, for you to stay away from crime. If you have the ability to lead, if you want to vote for good governance, then you should stay away from crime. If you are actually convicted, I don't know about those who are awaiting trial. Those who are awaiting trial allegedly commit the crime. The court has not found them guilty. But if you have been committed, I think there are some certain things we need to do in the society to form as a deterrent for people to stay away from politics and from crime.
Crime. So you don't like this?
In as much, like I said, is a welcome development that we are moving forward. Our court is beginning to have a say in how we do things.
Okay.
Now, also, we have to also bring this into perspective. INEC will have to go back and contravene the Electoral Act.
Okay. All right. I get you. All right. Let's move it along.
Okay. We have 38% of Nigerians are illiterate. National Commission for Mass Literacy. The National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education is focusing on strategies to increase literacy level, as more than 38% of Nigerians have been described as illiterate. The available statistics which shows that 62% of Nigerians are literate and 38% are non-literate. The out-of-school children are 11 million, while the non-literate Nigerians, that is the youth and adults, are about 60 million. So put together, we have about 70 million citizens of Nigeria who cannot read and write, or who lack basic skills for modern living. Wow.
All right. We'll start from you, Mr. Godi, this time.
I think I have a problem with the data that just been read out.
Okay. The data says 38% of Nigerians are illiterate.
I actually feel that we are more than that.
Much more than that.
Much more than that. That data is conservative, and try to, because a country with about 38% of illiterate people cannot be the capital of the poorest people in the world. They can't. Obviously cannot. So the data does not align with the with the
With a lot of
with
titles.
the recent
Yes, we've been given
announcement and the rest of it.
Okay.
So if you only look at the children that are out of school, there are some elderly ones who have not been to school. Did you capture them in this, whatever you call it, research and whatever, or survey? Did you capture them? So I believe that with this data, the government will actually relax. That at least 70 million, right?
Yeah.
Cannot read or write, or read and write, rather. So when you look at some of these things, I believe that when we want to do something, obviously you know that for over about 20 years now, we have not had a good census. A good census. Each time we try to have a good census, there's a problem somewhere, some politicians or some very big society people, statement will just make a statement and that will truncate the entire process.
Okay, all right. I get it. All right, Mr. Sango.
Yeah, taking it from the census angle, I thought the issue of census should even be a campaign issue where a serious presidential candidate will say, hang on, if I come in, I will ensure that within the next 2 years we'll be able to have an adequate, because what we're doing is estimation.
Yes.
At a time, 150 million Nigerians, what you hear now is 180 million, the next
some
night
people
200 million. You know, those are bogus and outlandish claims and all that. So I put simplicity, we do not know our population in Nigeria. But away from that, Mr. Ofose said that this statistics is not correct, that we should be more.
So it's conservative.
It's conservative. Yeah, but I think so too. I share that view. Particularly too, although it depends on their own understanding of illiterate. You know, that for me, that you're able to read and write is not even enough to say you are literate.
Yes.
The truth of the matter is that we have more illiterate and ignorant people in our society because of the terrible educational system that we have. And this has been exacerbated by the poor quality of education in our universities, the proliferation of universities. If you from here to Shagamu, you have about 10 universities, left, right, center. Nonsense. Most of them are no more than 2-story buildings. And I now wonder how they got the license to operate, and if, Nigerian University Commission, which normally gives the license, if they actually do their normal investigation and all that to see how these universities are functioning, if they cannot actually withdraw these certificates. So, but put simply, the point here is that we must do something about our education.
Okay.
Sadly, yet again, I'm not hearing any candidate in this forthcoming election telling us something about education.
Okay.
I don't want to hear, I will establish 2 more universities. No. I want to hear that you will fund the universities. I want to hear where you are going to get the money to fund the universities from. Are you going to cut down on what's
defense?
It called? On defense? Are you going to reduce social services? Where are you going to get the money from? We want to know. So that if it is going to be the same oil that we're going to now depend on, let us know. If somebody has an alternative view on how to fund education, let be the campaign issue and let's know. So that we can hold one to account in terms of, the funding and the use of our education.
All right, Akobo, let's hear from you.
Well, actually, being literate means to read and write. There's no other way to define it. So it means that those who can read and write 35% or 40%, let's round it up, are illiterate, which is okay. We'll get out of it sooner or later. My own challenge has always been, I've said it on this program and other fora, indigenous languages is the way to go. And the more you insist on using English as the tool of identifying who is literate or who is not, you continue to be backward. Japan today speaks their own language. Even countries like Denmark, who are the richest or the most accomplished country in the world, speak their native language, and they teach in their native languages. And so why people say what is an illiterate? The man who said is an illiterate probably went to a Quranic school, reads in Arabic, or they call Pashe, writes in Arabic. But under this classification, you'll be an illiterate. Or the man who studies Ifa, is somewhere in Oshogbo or Ife, who has over 2,500 verses in his head. And who can read science. Nigeria is an illiterate. But in some other areas, he's a professor. So the definition itself is faulty.
Wow.
On the basis that we do. So that's why I'm not really bothered. Whatever figure they throw out in this manner. So until and unless we start doing things in our native language, teaching children from the age of 6 to think in their language, write in their language, process the thoughts in their language, we'll never get there.
Wow.
And even at that, even in our homes, we must now, to support your argument, now begin to encourage our children to speak indigenous language. I'm from Asaba, which is obviously Igbo. My children were born here in Lagos, so you will expect that she will register for her WAEC to write Igbo. No, she says she wants to write Yoruba, and I'm encouraging her. Don't you get? Yeah. So we must encourage ourselves, in the aspect of these indigenous languages.
Okay. Well said. All right. We're moving away from in other news to our main stories of the day. Remember, the number again is 0802-836-8971. Our first story today is on Aisha Buhari as she lands in the news again. Last week, Tuesday, precisely the 3rd of December, this year, wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, lamented that a few powerful personalities have constituted themselves as a clog in the wheel of speedy development of the country. The First Lady explained that the government had achieved a lot, but could have achieved much more or even achieved all it had planned for in 1 year, but for two people in government who will never allow things to move fast. She said she was disappointed in men who, rather than fight these two men, go to them in the night begging for favors. Mrs. Buhari spoke at a conference in Abuja. However, she did not mention the names of these 2 or 3 powerful persons. All right, we have a clip of her at that conference in Abuja and where she made this statement. We'll take that clip rather quickly and then we'll come back.
As we did not buy votes, we form a government, the government that have overthrown an incumbent for the first time in the history of Nigeria. Afterwards, we're expecting to have a teamwork. We had a bit of teamwork, but it wasn't full. All the achievements that have been listed for the past 1 month, people have been singing the songs of achievements. We will have achieved that within 1 year of the administration. But it happens that we're dragging up to, this is the 4th year. So we believe in teamwork. And we believe in government of inclusiveness. People should not relent. People should continue to fight, continue to talk against the few that dominated the government. Our votes were 15-point-something million last election. And after that, only for us to be dominated by 2 people. That hinders a collective teamwork that we have started, which is totally unacceptable. And if 15.4 million people can bring in a government, and only for the government to be dominated by 2 people or 3 people, why are the men of Nigeria, why are the Nigerian men, what are you doing? Instead of them to come together and fight them, they kept visiting them one after the other, licking their shoes. I'm sorry to use that word. Instead of saying no. We should continue to say no. We should continue to say no. Because this is the future, not of my age, not of my husband's age, but the future of our children and our grandchildren. We're talking about better Nigeria. We're talking about Nigeria, where all those that had a brain drain that went to another country to work should come back.
All right, welcome back. All right, 0802-836-8971. Yes, we've seen that clip there. I'm sure a lot of us have seen that. It trended the whole of last week. So let's talk, Akogo. This is not the first time the wife of the president, will be this vocal.
And it will not be the last.
Yeah.
All right, but how do you respond to this recent outburst?
Again, she's been saying variations of the same thing. The last 10.5 years. The government has been hijacked. There's a cabal. In fact, she was the first person to use the word cabal in this government. And she's talking from a position of an insider who has been sidelined. And she's a woman. So those are two things that are dangerous to combine together. Everybody knew that there are people in this government. That's why even some top members of the party hierarchy do not want to take appointments in the campaign committee of the party. Because they don't want to work for just 2-3 people to come and eat everything. And that's the challenge that the party faces. Because the more they offer to people, the more people reject that I'm not going to serve as anything. Call those people who are chopping the money side to come and do the work. So she's always saying what we're all aware of. But the challenge here really is this. The buck stops on somebody's table.
Of course.
And I don't care whether 4 people are there, 30 people are there. It's the man who applied for the job that we should hold liable. And not somebody giving us excuses on why things are not working. If things are working, we will say the man is working. If things are not working, it's also the man's fault that it's not working. No matter, there's a saying in Ibadan, they arrested a man and they said he's not going through this route. He's not going through that route. As long as he gets to the police station. That's what matters. All this is just a diversion as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
Let's hold the man accountable for what we employed him to do. And let him do it. I don't want excuses that he's being controlled by A or being controlled by B. If he doesn't have the temperament or the mannerism to do the job, let him go home. All this is just diversion. We employ somebody, do the job we employ you to do.
All right.
I pay special tribute to her courage in having the ability really to bring this yet again to the fore. We all know that this is not the first time she's raising this sort of issue. But my worry is us Nigerians, all right? Everybody's quiet. We said here that it trended for just 1 week or 2 or 3 days, and that's the end. And we've moved on like the typical Nigerians that we are. She is raising a fundamental point. In fact, she's raising an alarm. You can read several meanings into it. I'm not one of those who believe in the cloning thing. That's nonsense. It doesn't work. Truth of the matter is that story is correct. There are cabals and there are cabals. And this cabal is just 2 people that are running this government. If they were running it effectively, I wouldn't have problems with that. But they are not running it effectively. So who are these people? She didn't name them. Maybe one day, someday too, what has pushed her to say this will push her to
name names.
Actually name names. But I hold the journalists who cover State House responsible. We do not have journalists again, I'm sorry to say. Because the question is whether the delegates of this world, you read newspapers, you see journalists.
You are digressing.
No, I'm not digressing. You have sympathy for them, you are with them.
Yes, I am with them.
Yeah, I have issues with that. People win an award for investigative journalism. We are going to wait for CNN now to do their own awards for investigative journalism, heroes and all that.
We had one over the weekend.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
What did he do? Now, those who cover State House should cover their faces in shame. Investigative journalism. Your journalism, your fourth estate of the realm. God of Jose wouldn't believe because it belongs to this group of people who have decided to shirk their responsibility and do their job. Point is that those journalists who cover State House must now. She's giving them a leeway. It's like clearing a bush path for you. She has cleared a bush path for you. You should now go ahead. Put your tentacles on ground and see what you can do. That's just my position.
I'm sorry. If names were mentioned, what will happen?
What will happen?
No.
Absolutely not.
Name and shame.
No.
We have names in the public sphere. We know, like you answered to her, some people have already mentioned names. Dr. Junai Mohammed mentioned names. Yes. We know the names they mentioned over the last 3 years.
Absolutely.
What has happened?
Okay, I want to lift a line from.
Go ahead, Mr. Godwin.
A line from from a book called The Morning Bride, written by a certain English writer, an author that's called William Congreve. He said, and I quote, "Hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn." Right? Now, everybody knows in this country how First Lady had been treated. Everyone knows. And Aisha Buhari treatment is quite different from his own party men Aisha has since this government was in his 1.5 years when he granted an interview to the BBC Hausa. He said everything. Like Akogun said, it's a repetition of what he had said before. And those things have not been addressed, which means Aisha may not probably mount the podium and campaign for husband. Because he issued that threat in her first interview that if things have not changed,
she won't vote for him.
She will not just vote,
or campaign.
She will not campaign for her husband.
I recall.
And now Aisha has come out 3 months to the election to raise the same alarm again, that things are even worse now from what is said. And I also believe that the opposition has also watched it. And I don't know, there's this something in our homes, in African homes. If you have a beloved sister that you love so much and you have a wife, and whatever you want to do, you talk to that your sister, your wife will think you have been bewitched by your sister. And if it goes the other way around, everything you want to do, even if you want to give your family member something, you talk to your wife first. That means you have been given, pardon this language, kobnomi. That means listen to me at every time. Right? You understand what I'm saying? Now, if you look at the entire environment, there are a lot of APC members, chieftains that will not agree with her, that things are bad. There are a lot. But you can't know better than the person that is closer to the fire. He knows the heat better than you. He feels the heat better than anyone. So Aisha knows all of these things. And we are in a campaign season. Aisha has actually given the opposition something to chew.
But they are not chewing it. Where is Odese Kwesili? Where is Kisli Morgan? Where is Showari? Nobody's taking this.
You don't expect them
Why?
to go to the mountaintop and shout. Now, campaign is coming. It depends on, everybody also believes that, like Akogu now, how would I put it? A man who has sympathy for APC might not actually believe that Aisha is saying the truth. That everybody will believe that. That's why I picked that quote. That
Can I ask you a direct question, Mr. Ofose? Let me just interject here. What Aisha has said, is this something you believe? Let's not be partisan about it.
Of course.
As a Nigerian, do you believe?
Why would I believe? Well, if my wife tells you anything, you bet. If you don't believe it, you are on your own.
So let me take you back to that line you quoted. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. You made it look like she's coming from the angle of someone who has a bone to pick.
Yeah.
A frustrated woman.
That's why we're going to before you interject.
Is that really what it is, or is she saying what is really happening?
Hello. There's what we call PR.
Okay.
Right? PR is an arm of journalism.
I know that.
But their own is just to make it look good all the time.
So who is doing
I'm coming, sir. You understand? It's just to make it look good all the time. Well, journalism can balance it. Now, you have a woman who has the opportunity and on the standpoint of making things look good. Now, he presented his brother in an election in Adamawa State, and you deprived him.
Okay.
You look into her face and deprived him. He has to come out and speak.
Even before the brother was rejected, she had already
made this point.
talking.
Don't make it look as if she's fighting a selfish interest.
I don't think so.
Action is patriotic.
Wait.
Don't diminish it.
Mr. Fosse, before the primaries.
Mr. Peter, I want to say something. We are in election year. Now, if Aisha was appeased with her brother's election, this thing wouldn't have come up.
No.
Listen.
Before her brother's election, does she not raise this?
She has.
We said it here. She raised it.
Hello, the issue that she raised before was that there are certain things she was not allowed. It was well reported. Some columnists wrote about it, that she was not allowed to have access to her husband and have conversation with her husband. After she raised those issues, those things were eliminated.
That's what brought on the issue of the other.
That is what I'm saying, yes.
I get that. But the thing is, she has always been vocal. Even before the primaries, where the brother lost out and all that.
I am asking you, if Aisha Buhari has always been vocal, before her husband became the president, where have you had her spoke?
Okay, all right, maybe because I'm a woman, but I don't want us to put it down to, the... exactly, that she's just talking because she's frustrated or something. No,
she's not frustrated.
I don't think she is.
Can I give a very simple, a very simple analogy? In our homes, if you like to take it, you leave it. The day you have a misunderstanding with your wife, she will tell you whatever she wouldn't have told you when you were in peace with her.
This is your theory.
Yes, now. Yes, now.
It's a hard
if you go to
the truth?
If you go to Ajegule, face me, I face you, patience. If you go to Ajegule, I see husband and wife exchanging words when they are angry. And when they are at peace, you see them in good terms. You will never believe that these are the same people.
That's human relations. Anyways, we have a lot of reactions from the viewers. All right, Ronke, thank you so much for observing when there was no coffee and when the coffee came. Thank you very much, Ronke, and for enjoying the program. All right, this one says, well, politicians will always be politicians. You know what I mean. Nwa from Abuja says, greetings, anticipations. Please beware of Aisha, the angel in the day and the devil at night. She only screams when they step into her path. She knows how to divert attention from her husband's non-performance. Please ignore her because she's more dangerous than Buhari. Wow. All right, this other one says, our first lady spoke the minds of Nigerians. To me, our president should withdraw from 2019 election. James Onu, thank you for your message. I can't read further than that. This other one coming from Omale Jubrilu from FCT Abuja says, I salute her courage for coming out to speak the truth of what is happening in her husband's government. Courage. She's not obsessed with power. Thumbs up. All right, thank you for sending that one in. This one says, Aisha is the same woman as Patience Jonathan, who wants to be recognized by all means. Azuka from Abu.
That's not true. That's not true.
All right, this other one says she has the right to say whatever, but we Nigerians have the right to agree or to disagree with her. We believe Buhari is the most patriotic president history will never forget. Ishak Ibrahim Azari sent that one in. Felix Oguchi. Okay, I'll move on. Aisha, let Aisha mention their names. We need to know those two people. Adama Ibuga from Nasarawa State. Okay. Is anybody on this table willing to mention names?
No, it will only be
because that's beyond my jurisdiction.
I only been to Asura once in my lifetime.
Conjecture.
I can't mention names, I'm sorry. All right.
There's a saying that says that it is he who is forbidden from eating pork that call it haram. If she has been part of the cabal, this will not have come out. Obviously,
back to my point.
It means that when in the quest for power, one side is on the ascendancy and our own side is not really up. I don't trust people who think that they have to play to the gallery to get things. But if you want to go the whole
Yeah.
Mention names, mention what they've done, mention why they are controlling the government. Because I know for a fact there are certain decisions that were taken that were not in the interest of the country. But like I said earlier, only one man is responsible. And I don't like the aversion about ABC. Attack the man, tell us your husband is the one taking the decisions, and decisions are not in the interest of Nigerians. There are people who believe. Don't keep telling us people are controlling the government when the man is still alive.
All right, this one says, I agree with the First Lady. If only all First Ladies will come out and speak the truth, I think this country will move to a greater level. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Please, let's join hands and change...
We'll change it.
Felix from Nasarawa.
Change the government.
You didn't find my trouble. Okay, we'll move on to the second topic of the day.
Okay, Electoral Act, PMB declines assent again. President Muhammad Buhari has again declined assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. According to President Buhari, signing the bill into law at a time when the nation is close to the general elections may give way for confusion and disruption of the polls. He, however, asked the National Assembly to specify in the bill that the amendment to the act would come into effect and be applicable to elections commencing after the 2019 polls. The president insisted that declining assent to the bill was in the best interest of the country and our democracy.
Okay, so says President Muhammadu Buhari.
So
All right, let's quickly watch this clip. We'll be back.
For over a year now, the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018 has been dominating discourse on the floor of both chambers of the National Assembly and the polity. However, when the bill was passed the first time, it was rejected by President Muhammadu Buhari, forcing the lawmakers to reconsider it and expunge some issues that the president considers inappropriate. While the lawmakers were waiting for assent, it was again rejected. The lawmakers again hurriedly repackaged the bill, hoping that it would get presidential assent. But Friday afternoon, Senator Ita Enang told journalists at the presidential villa in very careful and unclear words that the president has returned the bill to the National Assembly.
President Muhammadu Buhari has taken a decision on the Electoral Amendment Bill 2018 in accordance with his powers under the 1999 Constitution and has communicated that decision to the Senate and House of Representatives in accordance with the law.
Attempts by journalists to get clarification on camera was not successful as he stuck to his earlier words.
The Electoral Amendment Bill, is it signed or rejected or returned? You were not very specific and very clear on this matter, sir.
The President has taken decision in accordance with the powers vested in him under the Constitution. And by convention, that decision contained in the communication can only be revealed by the person to whom that decision is addressed.
But speaking off camera, he noted that the bill was rejected and returned.
Go back to them.
Yes, no, unfortunately.
Oh, no,
All right, just 3 months thereabout to the elections, and the Electoral Act has been declined. Assent again. This is where we are, gentlemen. But then the president did say that declining assent to the Electoral Act is in the best interest of a country.
That's not true.
And
It's falsehood.
okay, I like the fact that we
It's deceiving the Nigerian
dive
public.
in. Go ahead.
It's deceiving the Nigerian public.
Okay.
He must note, indeed Nigerians, any serious lover of democracy must note that Buhari recalled that Buhari is a beneficiary of a free and fair election.
True.
Free and fair.
Well, to a very large extent, the international community adjudged that election to a very large extent to be fair. It was credible. And that the least that this present government can do, all right, is to transmit
Same.
come 2019. Failure to so do will be unfair to this country, to be unfair to the system, okay? And it has the tendency of actually derailing our democracy. Moving forward, no, it's very, because when they say
But can I ask?
no, let me
Timing.
No. This
Okay.
thing has been given to him long ago.
All right, go ahead.
It has been given to him long
Go
ago.
ahead.
He delayed it deliberately. Very cunning. I mean, what they have done, very wrong. They delayed it deliberately. And then in the twilight of, the administration, in the run-up to the election, you are not telling us, they're citing ECOWAS protocol declarations. But the point here is that there's a proviso to that. The proviso is that if all the political parties come together and agree, all right, and that is where I expect the opposition, I don't know what they call them, I know the acronym COP.
CUPP.
Yes, CUPP. If they cannot come together and say, no, hang on, we agree, let's do it. Now, what are we saying? That to a very large extent, the use of card reader, all right, brought credibility to the last election. It eliminated massively the rigging aspect of it. So your refusal to do this now, the implication is, to sign in now, the implication is that you want us to go back to the old days of ballot box snatching, stuffing of ballot boxes and all that, and somebody can just be somewhere and declare election. Every right-thinking Democrat should resist it. they should condemn it. Failure to so do, particularly those who are contesting against President Buhari, they should withdraw from the race.
Okay.
I want to say that because you can't, there is a saying that you can't change the winning team. President Muhammadu Buhari is not saying we should depart from the Electoral Act as amended in 2014, I could go right?
Yeah.
In 2014. He said we should stick to it. Now, if you say that that process was credible, that brought President Muhammadu Buhari in, then why are you arguing? Why are you agitating that you should sign another act after 3 years? Why are you saying that? That is my own argument with people that said the election that brought the president in was credible, was fair, was free, and
can you not improve
I am coming, sir. I am coming, sir. You see, the election, the process was faulty in the first place. Because if you look at the media report and the analysis that have been coming through, which are factual from the back end of the INEC, that 13.2 million votes came as an incidence form, including the former president at that time voted with an incidence form.
And his mother.
And his mother voted with an incidence form. Then that process was not credible. And that is why the National Assembly sat together and said, okay, what do? We found out that a lot of people, that's why we were talking about the child voting in Kano. Because you couldn't have, those children, if they were true, couldn't have gotten a PVC. So they gave them an incidence form and the vote. And that's why if you leave this, because a lot of people are with thousands and millions of PVC in their possession, they will use it with an incidence form. So that is the process. So the process in the first place was faulty. And what we seek, what this Electoral Act seeks to do, Electoral Bill seeks to do now, is to eliminate the incidence form.
Okay.
And stay on the card reader. And also, they have a very fantastic section there that says that as we are voting, immediately, those results will be transmitted straight to the collation center in Abuja.
Okay.
Do you understand? So, at the end of the day, if Mr. President refused to sign this thing, I feel that Mr. President, like a lot of people say, is patriotic. He is not. If he says that this bill that is refused to sign is in the interest of Nigeria, I disagree with it. Because Mr. President knew from the beginning his people around him tactically asked him to delay the signing until this time.
Okay.
So they can have an excuse.
Okay. All right. I could go, the CUPP, that's a coalition of united political parties, you know.
The cop that is running over.
They've said refusal to sign this electoral bill is a call for anarchy.
Of course.
Do you agree?
Of course I do not.
You do not?
I do not also agree that an ordinary bill will also end our democracy. I think people are getting carried away with their own level of sophistry. But having said that, the president has the rights, because it's his signature, not mine, that will make the bill valid. And he has the right to withdraw his consent. And the question people keep coming up with that is not answered is if the man refuses to sign 2, 3, 4, 5 times, what's next?
This is like the third time,
Fourth.
isn't it? The fourth. Okay, fourth.
And they override his veto, which is in the Constitution.
They can, but they don't have the numbers.
If they don't have the numbers, then they should shut up and work with the man to find a solution. Because I high ground standing, it doesn't work for me. The same people that manipulated Senate rules to come into power are now grandstanding that some people are manipulating the electoral process in their own favor. Which president in his right mind will sign that other elections will come before his own? I'm still waiting for the president in this country.
So
the point
it is selfish, it's not patriotic.
Of course, the only thing patriotic
Obasanjo election came last, of course.
Hold on now, hold on.
It came last.
Hold on. The battle line has been
The only thing patriotic about, please finish that.
The only thing
line
patriotic
of
about
thought,
anything, the only thing patriotic about anything politicians do is things that will bring it to their pockets. It's the same person, the same process that said gubernatorial election ends at the appeal court. It's the same people who went back to do an act to take the gubernatorial election to the Supreme Court. Politicians will take care of themselves. I'm not going to blame other facts, but I'm not going to say Nigeria will end because one president did not sign.
Anarchy doesn't mean that a place will end.
What is next? The law is very clear. One day you have a recent president who will not want to sign laws. And the constitution was very clear. Go back to the assembly and override his veto. Go ahead and do that. If you don't have the number, then find a way to work with the man to get this thing passed. Not by throwing tantrums, not by saying there will be anarchy, not by saying the Nigeria will end because it didn't sign a bill. It's not a big deal. Seriously. The man is not signing us to go to war with Chad now.
Okay, can I ask one question of us, gentlemen? Now, refusal to sign this bill.
But they override it.
Do you sincerely think it's going to be some sort of interference with how next year's elections?
There's already cast aspersion on the process,
on the outcome,
on the outcome, and it looks like the outcome is predetermined. And from the what we have seen, the fact we have gotten, that maybe at some point we need to eliminate incidence form. It's like incidence form is like when what is this this Babangida guy? What was his own in XF? Fedeco. When Fedeco was conducting elections, where you can only politicians can take ballots to the house to write and put it and come back. So my child who is 9, who is going to be 9 by December 29, can also vote. I could make him vote because you don't see him. I'll give him a card. He will just write his name and cast his ballot. Okay. So you're not going to. He's not going to help us.
All right. Because of time, quickly, Mr. Sangbi, your thoughts.
Yeah, I like my thoughts. With what he has said. More importantly, is the very fact that it's like you're doing a race before they shoot the gun to start the race. The race.
You're already at the finish line.
Yes, and all that. It has, brought serious credibility question on the possibility, on the outcome of what the election, and that's not what we're looking forward to.
Okay. All right, let's quickly look at viewers' reactions. If you say Buhari benefited from a free and fair election under the old act, it is illogical to say the next election must be conducted under a new act. Okay.
You improve on it. Don't you understand? You improve on it.
That's why that's why I disagree with the first place that it was a fair, free and transparent election.
Okay, but what legacy is Buhari trying to leave democracy-wise?
Okay.
Jonathan can beat his chest to say, look, hang on, I conducted a good election. Yeah. So what is he going to
on the basis of the
all right. I really want to read a few feedbacks before we go. Salihu Sabo Tamboa from Sokoto says Buhari declined assent on electoral bill again, signifies fears of losing the 2019 elections. All right. Nwa from Abuja, I'm sorry I cannot read your text. It's filled with expletives. Let us be
decorous.
Thank you.
Mind your language.
I understand, but let's. All right. Ismail Zubeiru Usmanu says it is good President Muhammadu Buhari declined to sign again the Electoral Act. Anyways, gentlemen, this is where we draw the curtain on today's program. Unfortunately, we can't take the last topic. Maybe we'll move that to tomorrow. Thank you so much.
We've done it already.
Thank you for coming out today. Thank you, Mr. Peter Osangbe.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Mr. Godi Ofose. Thank you, sir.
Godi the chief.
Thank you, Blossom.
Thank
you, viewers, for always being a part of the show. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, at noon. Do join us again and have yourself a good day.